investigation, and any grand jury proceedings that might flow from the inquiry. Even if the removal of the lead prosecutor would not prevent the investigation from continuing under a new appointee, a fact finder would need to consider whether the act had the potential to delay further action in the investigation, chill the actions of any replacement special counsel, or otherwise impede the investigation. A threshold question is whether the president in fact directed to have the special counsel removed. After news organizations reported that in June 2017, the president had ordered to have the special counsel removed, the president publicly disputed these accounts and privately told that he had simply wanted to bring conflicts of interest to the Department of Justice's attention. See Volume 2, Section 2.1, Infra. Some of the president's specific language that recalled from the calls is consistent with that explanation. Substantial evidence, however, supports the conclusion that the president went further and in fact directed to call Rosenstein to have the special counsel removed. First, clear recollection that the president directed him to tell Rosenstein not only that conflicts existed, but also that, quote, Mueller has to go, is a credible witness with no motive to lie or exaggerate given the position he held in the White House. Footnote 601. Footnote 601. When this office first interviewed about this topic, he was reluctant to share detailed information about what had occurred, and only did so after continued questioning. See December 14, 2017, 302, Agent Notes. Spoke with the president twice and understood the directive the same way both times, making it unlikely that he misheard or misinterpreted the president's request. In response to that request, decided to quit because he did not want to participate in events that he described as akin to the Saturday Night Massacre. He called his lawyer, drove to the White House, packed up his office, prepared to submit a resignation letter with his chief of staff, told Priebus that the president had asked him to, quote, do crazy shit, and informed Priebus and Bannon that he was leaving. Those acts would be a highly unusual reaction to a request to convey information to the Department of Justice. Second, in the days before the calls to, the president, through his counsel, had already brought the asserted conflicts to the attention of the Department of Justice. Accordingly, the president had no reason to have call Rosenstein that weekend to raise conflicts, issues that already had been raised. Third, the president's sense of urgency and repeated requests to take immediate action on a weekend, quote, you gotta do this, you gotta call Rod, support recollection that the president wanted the Department of Justice to take action to remove the special counsel. Had the president instead sought only to have the Department of Justice re-examine asserted conflicts to evaluate whether they posed an ethical bar, it would have been unnecessary to set the process in motion on a Saturday and to make repeated calls to. Finally, the president had discussed, quote, knocking out Mueller and raised conflicts of interest in a May 23, 2017 call with, reflecting that the president connected the conflicts to a plan to remove the special counsel. and in the days leading up to June 17, 2017, the president made clear to Priebus and Bannon, who then told Reddy that the president was considering terminating the special counsel. Also during this time period, the president reached out to Christie to get his thoughts on firing the special counsel. This evidence shows that the president was not just seeking an examination of whether conflicts existed, but instead was looking to use asserted conflicts as a way to terminate the special counsel. B. Nexus to an official proceeding. To satisfy the proceeding requirement, it would be necessary to establish a nexus between the president's act of seeking to terminate the special counsel and a pending or foreseeable grand jury proceeding. Substantial evidence indicates that by June 17, 2017, the president knew his conduct was under investigation by a federal prosecutor who could present any evidence of federal crimes to a grand jury. On May 23, 2017, explicitly warned the president that his, quote, biggest exposure was not his act of firing Comey, but his, quote, other contacts and, quote, calls, and his, quote, ask re Flynn. By early June, it was widely reported in the media that federal prosecutors had issued grand jury subpoenas in the Flynn inquiry, and that the special counsel had taken over the Flynn investigation. Footnote 602. Footnote 602. See example Evan Perez et al. CNN exclusive. Grand jury subpoenas issued in FBI's Russia investigation. CNN, May 9, 2017. Matt Ford. Why Mueller is taking over the Michael Flynn grand jury. The Atlantic, June 2, 2017. On June 9, 2017, the special counsel's office informed the White House that investigators would be interviewing intelligence agency officials who allegedly had been asked by the president to push back against the Russia investigation. On June 14, 2017, news outlets began reporting that the president was himself being investigated for obstruction of justice. Based on widespread reporting, the president knew that such an investigation could include his request for Comey's loyalty, his request that Comey, quote, let Flynn go, his outreach to Coates and Rogers, and his termination of Comey in statement to the Russian foreign minister that the termination had relieved, quote, great pressure related to Russia. And on June 16, 2017, the day before he directed to have the special counsel removed, the president publicly acknowledged that his conduct was under investigation by a federal prosecutor, tweeting, quote, I am being investigated for firing the FBI director by the man who told me to fire the FBI director. C. Intent. Substantial evidence indicates that the president's attempts to remove the special counsel were linked to the special counsel's oversight of investigations that involved the president's conduct, and most immediately to reports that the president was being investigated for potential obstruction of justice. Before the president terminated Comey, the president considered it critically important that he was not under investigation and that the public not erroneously think he was being investigated. As described in Volume 2, Section 2.d, Supra, advisors perceived the president, while he was drafting the Comey termination letter, to be concerned more than anything else about getting out that he was not personally under investigation. When the president learned of the appointment of the special counsel On May 17, 2017, he expressed further concern about the investigation, saying, quote, "This is the end of my presidency." The president also faulted Sessions for recusing, saying, quote, "You were supposed to protect me." On June 14, 2017, when the Washington Post reported that the special counsel was investigating the president for obstruction of justice, the president was facing what he had wanted to avoid: a criminal investigation into his own conduct that was the subject of widespread media attention. The evidence indicates that news of the obstruction investigation prompted the president to call and seek to have the special counsel removed. By mid-June, the Department of Justice had already cleared the special counsel's service, and the president's advisors had told him that the claimed conflicts of interest were, quote, "silly," and did not provide a basis to remove the special counsel. On June 13, 2017, the acting attorney general testified before Congress that no good cause for removing the special counsel existed, and the president dictated a press statement to Sanders saying he had no intention of firing the special counsel. But the next day, the media reported that the president was under investigation for obstruction of justice, and the special counsel was interviewing witnesses about events related to possible obstruction, spurring the president to write critical tweets about the special counsel's investigation. The president called at home that night and then called him on Saturday from Camp David. The evidence accordingly indicates that news that an obstruction investigation had been opened is what led the president to call to have the special counsel terminated. There was also evidence that the president knew that he should not have made those calls to. The president made the calls to after had specifically told the president that the White House counsel's office and himself could not be involved in pressing conflicts, claims that the president should consult his personal counsel if he wished to raise conflicts. Instead of relying on his personal counsel to submit the conflict's claims, the president sought to use his official powers to remove the special counsel. And after the media reported on the president's actions, he denied that he ever ordered to have the special counsel terminated and made repeated efforts to have denied the story. As discussed in Volume 2, Section 2.1, Infra. Those denials are contrary to the evidence and suggest the president's awareness that the direction to could be seen as improper. F. The president's efforts to curtail the special counsel investigation. Overview. 2 days after the president directed to have the special counsel removed, the president made another attempt to affect the course of the Russia investigation. On June 19, 2017, the president met one-on-one with Corey Lewandowski in the Oval Office and dictated a message to be delivered to Attorney General Sessions that would have had the effect of limiting the Russia investigation to future election interference only. 1 month later, the president met again with Lewandowski and followed up on the request to have Sessions limit the scope of the Russia investigation. Lewandowski told the president the message would be delivered soon. Hours later, the president publicly criticized Sessions in an unplanned press interview, raising questions about Sessions' job security. 1. The president asks Corey Lewandowski to deliver a message to Sessions to curtail the special counsel investigation. On June 19, 2017, 2 days after the president directed to have the special counsel removed, the president met one-on-one in the Oval Office with his former campaign